My name is Tiffany Alston. I am the Director of Early Head Start for Sunrise Children's Foundation right here in Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm also the Vice Chair of the Region 9 Head Start Association. I wish you were all here in Las Vegas as planned, but do not worry. The association is working hard on looking for a date and location for 2021 to be right here again in Las Vegas. Speaking of Las Vegas, how many of you attended the conference dance party yesterday? Share in the chat box if you were able to join. Thanks so much to the Spasmatics for a great concert and all of their great dance moves. How many of you are familiar with National Head Start Association's Dollar per Child campaign? Let me know in the chat if you are aware of DPC. DPC, or Dollar per Child, is a critical effort by the association to raise essential funds for our advocacy and communication efforts. At the end of this session, you will receive a special email from Region 9. Please take a moment and donate $1 or $5 or whatever you can to NHSA. Also, thanks for the great participation on our conference platform. You all are doing a great job at posting photos, participating in community boards, and engaging the presenters. Today, please take time to visit each of our sponsors' virtual booths. Check out their products and their services. In the meantime, we have our second full day of sessions ready to launch after our morning keynote. First, I want to express our thanks to Innovative Healthcare Solutions, IHS. Please take a moment to watch this video from our sponsor.
Innovative Healthcare Solutions is proud to offer you the Zono, a revolution in disinfecting and sanitizing Head Start centers. The Zono cabinet utilizes ozone gas for an easy-to-use, effective, and environmentally friendly sanitizing process. Once all your items are loaded, everything is disinfected and sanitized in 30 minutes and can then be returned to the classroom. The Zono has already helped over 200 Head Start centers with over 320,000 children served. To learn more, go to our website at www.ihcsolutionsusa.com to sign up for a webinar, and you too can join the future of disinfecting and sanitizing with the Zono.
Thank you, IHS. To learn more, check out their virtual booth in our exhibitor center. You all may remember Jason and Kim Kotecki, who joined us for a webinar this past April, helping us all to see with new eyes amidst the challenges of the spring. We're excited to welcome them back today to talk about the life-changing power of kindness. Together, Jason and Kim are the creators of Escape Adulthood. They have made it their mission in life to help people break from the adultitis to create lives with adventure, meaning, and joy. Jason is a professional reminderer and permission granter who moonlights as an artist, author, and speaker. He enjoys Star Wars, soft t-shirts, and brand new tubes of paint. Kim is a former teacher turned speaker and author who loves tinkering with photography as she captures the wonder and whimsy of life all around her. They live in Madison, Wisconsin, with their 3 children, where they enjoy long walks by the lakes and where they eat too many cheese curds. Kim and Jason are excited to reframe our view today, offering real-world ideas on how we can change the world with kindness. Without further ado, Kim and Jason.
Hello there, everyone.
Hello, Region 9. Thanks for having us back. It's so exciting to share this kickoff to day 2 with you.
Yeah, we're excited to be here. Wanted to start things off with a question as we're deep into summer. What is the most escape adulthoody thing you've done this summer? If you want to leave that in the chat, we'd love to hear it.
Yes.
We've had a lot of frustrations throughout the year, but hopefully you've had at least something that you've been able to do fun, even if it's a little different than normal.
Escape adulthoody. I didn't realize that was an adjective now.
Yeah, well, it is now. So, yeah.
No, what's something fun you did this summer to fight adultitis? We'd love to hear it. Love to see the folks in the chat pop up. So yeah, thanks again for having us.
Yeah, one of the things we wanted to talk about today, of course, is kindness. Now, one of the things that is an important thing to start out with is, this bald eagle. This is a painting that I created, and he's kind of angry. Looks a little angry, looks a little frustrated. And the bald eagle has long been the symbol of our nation. And this painting is sort of a symbol of how our nation is feeling right now and in 2020, right? There is a lot of frustration, a lot of anger, a lot of anxiety and things like that. And I think what's important to realize is it's okay to feel frustrated. It's okay to be a little bit angry at all of the stuff, right? It's one of those things that sometimes we feel like, I wish I could just get back to feeling joyful and get back to the way things were and bury those thoughts down. But sometimes it's okay to sort of feel those feels, right, Kim?
Yes, definitely. And I think now more than ever, if you bury them, they will erupt somewhere that might not be the best timing, right? We all see this in children where you're like, what's going on with that child? Why are they tantruming? And then you reverse engineer the day and it all adds up. But this happens to us too.
Yeah.
And I think there's a way to prevent some of that by being more mindful of letting our feel the feels, right?
Yeah, and it's a good story about this is the first time Kim and I got to travel to Miami, we were very excited to go down to South Beach and explore all of the action that was down there. And we were really only going to be there for a short time, so we wanted to make the most of it. And we had this vision of just like perfection, and we were very excited. However, what really happened was this, and it just, literally the minute we walked on the beach, it started just downpouring. And it was frustrating. It was like the forecast was like, yep, this is what it's going to look like the rest of the day. And so I remember getting in the car with Kim, and I think you were driving that day.
Yes.
I was probably too mad to drive. And I just remember sulking.
Yes.
Just being mad. Like, this is the one day we have here. This is terrible. Why is it ruined?
Basically an adult temper tantrum.
Yeah. And there was a part of me that, I'll be honest, I felt like the biggest hypocrite in the world, because here I am talking about adultitis and escaping adulthood and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh man, what's matter with me? And then I was like, I gave myself permission to be kind to myself, and I gave myself permission to just be angry for a little bit and to be mad and to think that the universe was conspiring against me. And it was funny because after about 5 minutes, I started to feel better. And I started to look ahead to some of the other things that we would be able to do instead. And I think that had I not given myself the chance to really just be angry and throw that sort of temper tantrum, my whole day probably would have been ruined, because I would have been having this internal fight to try to push down those feelings. And the thing is like life is meant to be felt. It's meant to be lived. And I think we run into trouble when we try to mask those feelings of pain or numb them with drugs or alcohol or sex or TV watching or whatever. Like, there's a healthiness in being able to embrace some of those feelings. So I think that's a big deal.
Yeah.
It makes me think of how we're feeling now. A lot of us feel really hurt, right?
Yes. This is something when I was teaching, and also now with our 3 kiddos, we're constantly reminding ourselves, and I remind, it's as much of a lesson for me as it is for them, is that hurt people hurt people. And this is something we can identify with when in those little moments where you're like, why is this person texting me so rudely? Or why why is this, unfolding this way with such drama? And I think we can all relate to that in the moments, and maybe a little bit more heightened recently because of all this extra baggage we're carrying with fear and uncertainty and frustration. So it just allows us to be a little bit more mindful and understanding, more compassionate right now.
Yeah, I think that times like this call for a good motivational quote, right? A good inspirational quote. And I can think of none better than a Jedi Master to help us out on this one.
Oh, yes.
But Yoda said that fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. In a lot of ways, a lot of us are suffering right now. Maybe financially, maybe physically, maybe just because our normal is disrupted. But if you trace it all back, Yoda was right. It starts with fear. That's where this all started, with a tiny virus that arrived uninvited. But we are afraid that we might lose our life, our livelihood, or someone we love. We're afraid that what we have will be taken from us. We might be afraid that we or someone we love will suffer from some great injustice. And we might feel like, we've already lost so much that we're afraid that we'll lose even more. And so when you trace back all of this, these feels, a lot of it comes from the fear that we all have. And that's one of the challenges that we have as we're working with kids too and their families, is like they can pick up on that. And so it's helpful for us to be able to deal with those feelings ourselves so that we can be strong and helpful to the people that we serve. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking of a song, I'm trying to think if I should let you sing it because I'm not a singer.
The little,
what the world needs now is love, sweet love.
Yeah, we are definitely artists, not singers.
That was written by Jackie DeShannon years and years and years ago. And I think it's appropriate for now. Like we need that. We need love. We need love. That's, it's like the Beatles said it too. All you need is love. Now,
it seems too simple.
Seems simple. And the challenge is when you start to think like, well, how does that work? What does that mean? What do we do? Because even I can understand what it feels like to show love to my family, people I care about. There's romantic love, buying a box of chocolates and some roses, back rub, stuff like that. But what does love look like to strangers, to people we don't know, to people we don't know that well? You go the other kind of love, it can be a little creepy, right? But what does that look like?
And I think what love look like for, your coworkers.
Yeah.
And for those families you serve, or people that you come in contact with as you serve, right?
Well, and I think that the best place to start when we talk about that is kindness. I think kindness is a way that we show love to people we don't know, and maybe even our enemies. Kindness is the best kind of love that we can show to strangers. It might be to the nitwits who are on the opposite end of the political spectrum as you. It might be to the jerk that just posted that careless insult on Facebook. It might be to the lady who's holding up the line in front of you. Mm-hmm. Being kind is the way to show love, and it can change the world. It might not seem like it, but it does. It's sort of it's the quality of being friendly, generous, and considerate to the people around us, giving people, the benefit of the doubt rather than being so quick to judge them, to try to see things from their perspective.
That mindset of the benefit of the doubt is more, I think that is one of those gifts that is a gift that no one will ever really know you're giving, but it has the power to change the world.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's really easy to lash out and say why someone is wrong about what they're projecting. But again, they might be projecting whatever they're projecting because they're afraid, because they're hurt, they're scared. And so to try to solve that by a quick, 140 character thing on Twitter or Facebook isn't good. But being able to be kind and be, like you said, give them the benefit of the doubt. It's like, gracious. You don't give them a benefit of the doubt and then say, I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. That kind of ruins it, so they may never actually know how kind you're being to them by holding back those feelings of judgment.
For sure.
And so really, kindness is keeping in mind that we're all fighting a hard battle and trying to treat each other accordingly. That's what this is really all about.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
So this is Antonio Gwynn. He is an 18-year-old from Buffalo, New York. And I love his story. He was watching all of the unrest going on in his community whatever it was, a month ago, 6 weeks ago, and was just really upset by all of the damage that was being done in parts of the downtown. Now, if you watch the news at all, which is not a good recipe for keeping a joyful spirit, that's for sure, you may have come to the conclusion that we are at war. All right. Now, we kind of are, except we're not really at war between the races or political parties. Like, we do have disagreements, but what the real war is a battle between light and darkness. That's the war that I don't think enough people realize. And kindness is one of the best things that we have at our disposal in that war. And it makes me think about how, we hear a lot of people that are suggesting actions, things that need to be done to fix the problems we have. And one of the tools that I hear almost never from people is the idea of prayer. Now, if you're not a praying type, don't freak out. I'm not trying to convert anyone here at all. But it is a thing that I think a lot of people can relate to. And I feel like it would be doing a disservice to not share something that has worked so well in my life. What I really like about the idea of prayer is that it's something that's outside of ourselves, which is what kindness is as well. It's about looking outside of our current challenges. And it's sort of like a spiritual Swiss Army knife. It's very diverse. I mean, we can pray for leaders and politicians to make good decisions. We can pray for good ideas for ourselves of how do we best incorporate some of these new things that we have to do in our centers and with the families that we serve. We can pray for peace. We can pray for patience, for justice, for wisdom, for grace, for understanding, and for self-control. And the thing that I love most is that there's no secret formula. There's really not a way to mess it up. All you actually really need is just one simple word, which is help. You can just pray, help me to know what to do. Help me to know what to say. Help me to love my enemies. That one's the hard one, isn't it? That is the hard one, especially when you've got that jerk that you think of. It's really easy to hang out with the people that agree with us and shun the people who disagree with us, especially because they're obviously misinformed or ignorant or possibly evil incarnate. But what would happen if you went to the timeline of your arch rival? The one who's always posting the snide comments, the one with the holier than thou proclamations, the one who is posting the stupid memes. What would happen if you put a simple comment on one of their posts that said, you know what? I don't often agree with you on the issues, but I really appreciate the passion that you bring to this cause. Thank you for trying to make the world better. What would happen if you did that? What would happen if you lived near that person or worked with that person and included that message on a little card with a gift certificate to one of their favorite places? Now, please don't misunderstand. I'm not saying that you have to agree with what they're saying, or even worse, do some sort of Vulcan mind trick where you try to convince them they're wrong in some subtle way. That totally would ruin it. Just notice something good. Notice a redeeming quality about them and tell them. It might be something as simple as, you know what? I can't imagine how difficult it must be to be a single parent, but I can tell you love your kids, and I think you're doing a really good job. What if you said that? And I think that's just as important for us to keep in mind as we head toward this new school year of doing the same thing with the kids we serve, is noticing the things they're good at. Notice the things they bring to the world that are amazing and tell them. Because we have a lot of hurt people out there. And part of the reason that we're hurt is because we don't realize how valuable we are. We don't realize what light we can bring to the world. And sometimes we need people to tell us. We need people to show us. And that's a role that we can all play. I know of a priest who organized a prayer walk in his downtown. And he basically said, what we need to do is to push out the light. And that's kind of the prescription I have, is to do something generous for someone you disagree with or don't particularly like. It's really easy to show love to the people that are in our family that we care about and our friends and our family, but to do that to the people that we're not so hot on, that's the hard thing. And so, like I said, this priest organized this walk, and he was very clear. He said, this is not to protest. It's not to protest the protesters. It's just to help push out the darkness. And that's what he wanted to do. And that is what brings me back to Antonio. Antonio did something amazing to help push out the darkness. He saw that Bailey Avenue in his town, Buffalo, New York, was littered with glass and garbage from all of the unrest. And he knew that people were going to need that road to get to work in the morning. So he grabbed a broom, trash bags, and at 2:00 in the morning, went out to start cleaning up. He didn't stop for 10 hours. When a group of volunteers came the very next morning to what they thought would be start the cleanup, they realized that Antonio had done almost all of it. So word started to spread. And this guy, Matt Block, he heard about Antonio on the news, and he saw on his Facebook page that he was asking questions about carbine questions. And so Matt felt called to give Antonio his 2004 Mustang convertible. He didn't know that Antonio's mom had passed away in 2018. She also drove a red Mustang. Well, a local business person heard about this, and he decided that Antonio needed a year's worth of free car insurance for this new car of his. And then a college chimed in, and they offered Antonio a full scholarship to study business starting this fall. His goal, one of many, is to open a cleaning business. You guys, we are at war with the dark side, which has convinced us that we are at war with each other. That's not true. We're all on the same team. We may disagree about the best way to move forward, but we all want what's best for our communities, for our nation, and for our world. Now, the good news is, like the Wicked Witch of the West, who had this fear, deservedly so, of water, the dark side also has a weakness as well. Light. When we shine our light to help others, our happiness grows and the world gets better. And one of the best ways that we can do this, the best ways we can shine on, is through kindness. So in the battle between light and darkness, the darkness doesn't stand a chance. Now, I will admit, as an artist, as an author, as a speaker, I want to change the world. I want to make it better. Something tells me that the reason you work with children is you also want to make the world better. Now, I have to admit that I sometimes forget that the best way to change the world is in simple ways. Sometimes I get caught up and like, whoa, I got to have this big mission, this big project, blah, blah, blah. It's simple ways, starting today. Like Antonio, grabbing a broom and a trash bag. My wife is amazing at this. She has a way of taking people's rainy days and turning them into sunny ones with simple ways. She'll make a pan of brownies for our elderly neighbor who is a widow. She'll send a funny GIF to a friend to brighten their day. She will converse with the delivery guy who's bringing our groceries and actually having meaningful conversation, not just exchange pleasantries. Now, these sorts of things don't bring about standing ovations or front page headlines. But one thing they do have in common is they're repeatable. If you think about it, if you were to do one act of kindness a day over the course of 30 years, you would have impacted the lives of 10,950 human lives. That's a lot of people. That's a big difference. And if you think about the value of those people maybe being impacted by you and then going off and do something kind to someone else, the impact is exponential. These small acts of kindness are not usually difficult, time-consuming, or expensive. But what a difference they make. They are our way to bring light to the world by using kindness as a way to show love to one another, even the people we aren't that big of fans of. To that one person on that one day, the sun came out and the world changed.
I want to meet Antonio. He sounds like the coolest guy.
This is a cool story, right?
I love that story. I want to road trip out to Buffalo and just shake his hand and say, your example. I mean, I know it's gotten some legs and people are talking about it, but we've shared it on our weekly show on Facebook, and it's one of those stories you just want to keep sharing. Yeah. So it's pretty cool.
It's really cool to have examples like that. Like you said, it wasn't like, not like he called up the news station and say, right, hey, everybody, look at me, what I'm going to do today. But you can see that the ripple effect that he created just by doing that one little small thing.
To hear all the response from the people who gave him the car, the insurance, the education. It's like everybody, I think people are hungry for this kind of good news and people doing good. So if you put even an ounce of energy behind it, people respond so much more these days, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So we want to share some more examples of people being kind, because I think the more examples we have, the more chance we can be inspired to do that thing ourselves. In the meantime, if you want to share an act of kindness you've witnessed or have undertaken, we'd love to hear that as well. But let's get on to some what we call adultitis fighters. All right.
Yes. One of our favorite things about the last 6 months have been the funny jokes. And this is one of your favorite cartoonists, right?
Yeah, Gary Larson of The Far Side. I love this one.
Who's been retired for years.
Yeah, if 2020 were a food truck, it would be liver and onions, right? I mean,
and no offense to the liver and onion fans, but it is one of those like, I'd rather have a mac and cheese truck or a grilled cheese truck, you know?
Yes. So let's get some fun ideas here. So some of you may have seen some of this going on in your neighborhood. I know we did in ours. We've seen a lot of people posting different things, but
how cool is this? There are folks in our tribe, the adultitis fighters, who have been putting buckets of chalk at the end of their driveway. And then with a little note and says, like, draw me something fun. And if you add some masking tape, which is all the rage right now, you can create something like this. So,
yeah, that's pretty rad. And it looks so beautiful and professional, but it's really not that hard of a little masking tape, right?
I know, it's so cool.
Now, this is a little bit more professional, I suppose, right?
More, if you happen to have a power washer, which here in the Midwest we often need, you can create these little power washed hearts out of just kind of washing around it, you know, and creating the opportunity for the different colors of concrete. So this is a picture someone sent us that said that they left this on their neighbors, basically their driveway, as a little act of kindness, which is cool. And then we heard from Gail Richardson, who sent us a little note and said she was going for her COVID haircut. And as we all excitedly do, it's like the biggest occasion of the year. And she brought flowers for her hairdresser because she said she realized how hard it's been, and she's been closed and back open and trying to be safe. And she's like, I bet her studio needs a little brightening up. So she just went and grabbed grocery store flowers, $7.99. And she said the look on her face was just priceless, of that someone thought of her in just that extra little thought.
Yeah.
Means so much.
Yeah, totally.
And then there was Carol Dulles. Carol is an amazing adultitis fighter outside of Milwaukee. And she, when all this shook down in March, realized that the hospital near her was really gearing up. Milwaukee's a big city. And she's like, how are these people going to eat lunch and think about eating? So she started a GoFundMe page for that would basically help fund lunch for all of the frontline workers. And this funded lunch for like a month. And then she had people kind of organizing, getting, ordering the food from different restaurants to keep them supported. So it was like this whole community support to kind of show love and encouragement to the frontline workers who were getting exhausted, just with a little GoFundMe effort. And by the way, she was online teaching at the same time.
Yeah.
She's a high school teacher.
Well, what I love about that example too is like, it would be great if we were all independently wealthy and could just give meals to people who needed them.
Right.
She just used the power of organization. She used GoFundMe. She wasn't funding it, but she was organizing the campaign.
Which, as an educator, you guys know how organized you have these superpowers, right? So she just felt called to do it, and she did it, which is really, really cool. Then we have Helen. Helen is known for what she calls Helen Mail. All right. So you can kind of get a look at what's going on here. She puts stickers and inspirational little phrases and all sorts of stuff. And she just basically loads these little envelopes outside and in with joy. And we highlighted her on one of our weekly shows, and she actually sent us Helen Mail.
It's a thing of beauty.
It is artwork, you guys. And I think it's basically just her little artistic expression of joy and cheerfulness. And that's how she spreads it, is through mail. A little, what is it, 49-cent stamp or whatever it is these days.
Yeah, I think it was like at least 25 stickers on the inside and outside of that envelope. And then there were like little comic strips inside.
You should have seen us when we received this. We're like, oh my God, Helen Mail. I mean, she's branded her own kindness, which is taking it to a whole new level, let me tell you. But how cool is that?
Something to be inspired by, for sure, right?
Right. And then there's Jill. Jill decided, and back in April and May, people were really starting to realize this was going to be the long haul, especially families with young children. So she started making these like cheerful baskets for people. And she would basically, show up and customize them per family or household and ring the doorbell and leave that whole like ding dong ditch in the best way, whether it was wine or cookies or little games or card games. She's like, it's just something small I can do right now. I have a little time on my hands and I'm not spending a lot of money, but it just brings me so much joy to know I brighten someone's day.
Yeah. And speaking of small, we finally have Terry Walker, who is a Head Start director in Minnesota, I believe. And she just made a point to deliver mini donuts to her staff. We just go to their house and drop them off, keep the social distancing going. But again, it's about the effort, right? It's about the thought that goes into it. And, just those are the things, like I said, every day we could do something. And those are the sorts of things that create the ripple effect, that create the change that we're looking to see in the world.
We were actually the recipients of some homemade cookies, a couple months in. And I don't know if it was the day we received them or what had happened leading up to it, but they brought tears to my eyes. And it's kind of like silly to say that. It's like a cookie bringing tears to your eyes. It really wasn't the cookie at all, which we're amazing, by the way. And we are going to use that recipe. But it was like, you thought of me today, and I kind of needed to be thought about today. And that's the magic, you guys. That's what you're tapping into with these little actions.
Yeah. So the next thing we want to do is we want to give you guys a chance to take a little break and have a little fun with us. As I mentioned before, I'm an artist, and you kind of feel like we should take advantage of that and do a little drawing lesson.
Yes.
Right? And so if you just have like crayons or markers nearby, maybe you don't. But even if you have a Post-it note, a scrap of paper, a ballpoint pen, get that at the ready, because we're going to do a little drawing lesson. All right, you guys, this is going to be fun. So this is a very easy thing that you can do to create little notes for people. Because sometimes, you know, you want to do something.
Really easy way to spread kindness.
Fun way to spread kindness. And you don't have to go to the store and buy a whole box of greeting cards, but you can just make your own. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw, by the way, the app that I'm using for this, because I know people will probably ask, is called Procreate. They're not a sponsor or anything like that. It works for iPad. They might have one for Android. I'm not sure. This is on an iPad, but it's an app on the store called Procreate. But like I said, you don't have to have a fancy app to do this. It
works.
It allows it to make it easier for me to demonstrate this. So what we're going to do is if you remember that little shine on stained glass art that we showed earlier, we're going to do that. And this is super simple. So basically at the bottom of your paper, you're going to start with a half circle, kind of like a sun that is rising, right? Mm-hmm. And then I'm just going to do a series of lines radiating out from the center. And what's cool about this project is it's totally open-ended. You can put as many rays in here as you want. And, you know, just, again, as you can see, I don't have perfectly straight lines. So that's good. So then now what we're going to do is make the stained glass effect. Mm-hmm. And all we need to do by that is draw lines like this that connect them. And I like to do it in kind of a haphazard fashion, just to make it a little bit more.
Don't you love how his version of haphazard is not quite maybe what mine or yours would be? Your hand is so steady. It's like, haphazard, and it's like perfect lines. Okay.
I will say, I went to school for illustration, and for 2 straight weeks, one of the projects that we did was we just did pen and ink, drawing straight lines over and over. Well, there you go. You've got a little practice. And the key with drawing a straight line is you bend your elbow. You don't do it in the wrist. You let your arm move in a straight line. When you try to just do it with your wrist, it gets all wobbly and jittery. But does require practice. It reminded me of Karate Kid, where Mr. Miyagi does the wax on, wax off, and Daniel-san is like, why am I doing this? This is not karate. That's how I felt in our class. I'm like, why are we just drawing these stupid straight lines? This is not going to help me. Little did I know, 20 years later, I'd be impressing people with my straight drawing skills.
I don't know if you're impressing anyone other than me, but okay. You know.
Fair enough. Okay, so we've got these lines in here. Now we can do the fun part. And again, this is fun because you can create any different kind of colors that you want and go with whatever. That would be
a black sun.
took a dark turn here. You know,
Black Hole Sun. What song am I thinking of?
Yeah, Black Hole Sun.
Okay.
All right, so I'm just going to color a few of these in. And because it's a sunshine, I like to kind of use orange and yellowy colors here.
By the way, this whole segment, Let's Draw, is a part of our weekly show. And I have to say, it's like one of the things that our viewers are always commenting on. We joke about how it's kind of like Willy Wonka meets Bob Ross. But he doesn't just draw normal things. The one week we were drawing like meat. What were we drawing?
Happy meat.
Steaks.
Yep, steak and hot dogs.
Because we were talking about grilling and marinating. It was like a whole metaphor thing. But so it's not exactly like how to draw normal things you'd ever think about. It's like how to draw crazy, like a peach that was flying, like a peach that you eat.
Yeah.
We did a levitating peach one week.
It's hard when you're talking about it. It sounds so ridiculous.
That's where the Willy Wonka comes in, right?
Yep.
But
anyway. All right. So I like to, I'd like to mix up the colors a little bit, as you can see.
Well, that's pretty.
Bring in some blues in here. But again, this is where it's fun. I think a lot of people like those coloring sheets where you can kind of get lost in
adult coloring. Yeah.
Yeah. But this is sort of a way to create your own, and you can get as intricate as you want with how many different facets of glass you create or whatever. But as you can see, it's a very simple concept. Mm-hmm. And if you were to every single one were here to do this, you'd probably all have a different, it would look different, which is what's awesome about it.
Yeah.
So then my favorite part is to put in, give this a little personality, this little guy. So I'll take a little bit of reddish, and I like to draw a little smiley face in here, 2 eyes.
And notice Jason's smiley face. He always puts the eyes outside the smile, which I think is very, I don't know.
Well, it sort of gives it that little childlike, young look to it, which is obviously babies are all very cute. So there you go. That is a little demonstration for you. Again, this could be put on a little Post-it note to go into someone's lunch or in their mailbox. If you're going to do your own version of Helen Mail, you might just want to make one for yourself and put it on the fridge to remind you about some of this kindness and stuff that we've been talking about today.
I hope you enjoyed trying that out.
All right. So as we're winding down here, we wanted to give you guys a chance to win something. And we'll have to do, we're going to ask a question. And unfortunately, the way our system is set up right now, we can't see any comments that are coming in.
Yeah.
But we will be able to check in afterwards. So what we're going to ask is, what has been your biggest takeaway from this session? What was a light bulb? What was an aha? What was even, what I sometimes say is we're professional reminderers, right? Sometimes we just need to be reminded of stuff we already know, because when we're inundated by this flurry of negativity that is sometimes all around us, sometimes we need someone to stand up and remind us of the light. Sometimes to remind us of something true that we maybe forgot about. So leave a comment. What has been your biggest takeaway from this session? And afterwards, we'll pick one out and we'll win a prize. What are they going to win, Kim?
They are going to win the book that came out last fall of Jason's called A Chance of Awesome, How Changing the Way You See Changes Everything. And I have to tell you that artwork that you just created is inspired by a really cool story that is here in the back about a pretty interesting situation that happened in our life. I don't know if you want to give a real quick summary.
Yes, we had an instance where we came home from a vacation and we had some bullet holes in our window, and it was a very traumatic experience for our family. And the book tells the whole story of how it went down. But actually, it was good because so many amazing things came out of that experience for our family and our friends, kids, our neighborhood. Was really cool. So
the book is basically based around this question of now that this has happened, what does this make possible? And I know we kind of shared a little bit about it in April, and that because we needed that question more than ever in April, and we still need the question. But it's kind of a spoiler, but can I show them this picture?
Yeah.
Okay. So all of this shine art.
Yeah, we don't want this to be like, you must buy the book to know the story. It's just a long story. And you can find this
story on our website as well. But basically what we did is we took that broken window and we Jason worked with a stained glass artist that is local here in Wisconsin, and they designed this beautiful shine-on stained glass that now is in our front window. And it served as a really neat kind of neighborhood reminder that, bad things happen. How many times can you say the cliche of when you get lemons, make lemonade? But when you can actually do it and show it in a creative way, it continues to be one of those things that neighbors stop us and say, I see your window shining at night. And it just reminds me when I walk the dog, before bed, that there's always good out of bad. Yeah. So it served as a neat, hopeful reminder for people as well as ourselves.
Yeah. By the way, fun fact, when you said about the lemons, so we have been doing, grocery delivery as a lot of people are.
Right.
And a couple of weeks ago, we got our groceries delivered, and there were literally a bag of 3 lemons in there that we didn't order. We weren't.
Did you order lemons?
We weren't charged for them. We didn't order them. They were just there.
Right.
And what did we do with those lemons, Kim?
We made fresh squeezed lemonade, literally. And the kids were so excited. In our house, we don't really make fresh made lemonade. And to be honest, we're all mourning the loss of our annual family tradition of going to the Wisconsin State Fair, where we would get lemon shake-ups. I don't know if these are everywhere at the fairs, but I would assume you get those really amazing fresh lemon drinks. And we didn't have that. And it was just like perfectly timed. It's almost like the universe was like, yeah, you're not going to get your lemon shake-up this year with the funnel cake and whatnot. So why don't we just give you the lemons? And we gave us a chance to Google a really good recipe. And guess what we got the next week? Another bag of lemons. We're like,
perhaps it was a
more.
good marketing ploy by the grocery store. I don't know.
Right?
Now, should I expect that next week we'll get like funnel cakes accidentally delivered to us? That would be great.
This week our mystery item was bagels. So
yeah, we got bagels for some reason.
And our son Ben,
very strange.
They usually have cereal for breakfast, but our son Ben was like, bagels are my favorite breakfast food ever now. So now that this has happened, what does this make possible? Trying new things, looking for opportunities. That's what it's all about. And honestly, as much as we needed it in April, I don't know. I have a feeling we're going to need this for a while. So this new perspective, the chance to see with new eyes, we're going to give this book away to somebody who shares their greatest takeaway. And hopefully it'll be an inspiration to continue this mindset going forward.
Yeah, and meanwhile, for obviously, not everyone will win, but we also want to give something free away to anyone who signs up for our newsletter. If you thought this program was a good reminder for you, if you thought it brought a little light into your life, I know there's a lot of people who signed up back in April. And have been following along, which we super appreciate. If anyone else is interested in that, we have a giveaway for you, totally free as part of that. And one of the things that we have in what we call the Adultitis Fighter Arsenal are these little printouts that you can create. Remember those, like the old school, you just take a sheet of paper, right?
Prince, what am I thinking of? Like on our Commodore 64, all right, I'm dating myself.
There's going to be some people who don't know what you just said.
And then the paper would print, you'd have to get the little holes off the side of the paper.
Commodore 64, huh?
Yeah, all the paper was connected. I'm just totally having fun with the fact that I was born in the 70s, okay?
So this is a little greeting card you can print out, and you can color it. So if you don't want to draw your own shine-on thing, this is a little coloring greeting card, and the inside says, "Thank you for making the world brighter." So it's a good everyday message for practically anyone. But that is in our Adultitis Fighter Arsenal, along with a bunch of other coloring sheets, which are all free for people who sign up for our newsletter. So
join us on the journey.
I hope you enjoy that. But that, that's basically what the message we wanted to share. We just wanted to remind you of how important kindness is. It's one of those things that gets overlooked a lot, of how valuable it is. And again, bring a little bit of life to that old cliche of all you need is love, right? And the world, we need more love. And it's really easy to say that, but what does it mean? And one of the best ways to make that real is through kindness, especially in small ways, and especially to people who are different from us, people who disagree with us, people who we don't even like. It's one of the best ways you can sort of get revenge on people is by being kind to them. They don't know what to do with
sort
it.
of
It's
revenge,
kind of a fun sort of thing to do because it puts them back on their heels and makes you feel good and makes the world better. So that is it for us. I want to thank you for allowing us back to spread some joy and whimsy. We really appreciate this opportunity to spend time with you guys. Until next time, Adultitis Fighters.
Yes, shine on, spread whimsy, and be awesome. Back to you, Tiffany.
Thank you, Kim and Jason. What a wonderful presentation. Great ideas and strategies that we can all put into our work today. Like Jason and Kim, you are all changing the world, and you are doing it in very simple ways. I love the great ideas shared about small ways to spread kindness and joy. I'm hoping you will all join us on this journey and follow where your heart is leading you to show some kindness today. I don't mind being your professional reminder today if you need some inspiration. An easy place to start is with Dollar per Child. Please give to the Dollar per Child campaign. No donation is too little. We need all of the assistance possible to ensure Early Head Start and Head Start are in place to serve for another 25 years. All right, you all, enjoy your session.